You should be using data loss prevention and information protection. All those things that we were telling you 3 years ago that you kind of went, this seems like hard and difficult to do. But now that this other technology is here, it's brought all of those things back to the table.
Welcome to the /podcast, where we lean into the future of IT by inviting fellow thought leaders, innovators, and problem solvers to slash through its complexity. I'm your host, James Carman, and today we have with us Jim Spignardo. Welcome to the /, Jim.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
Jim is the director of Cloud Strategy and AI Enablement at ProArch, a global IT services and consulting firm. With over 25 years in IT, Jim's journey spans network engineering, cloud management, cybersecurity, and strategic consulting. What drives him is helping organizations cut through the noise and deliver real, measurable business outcomes. That's a lot of stuff. You've done a lot in your career.
Yeah.
A lot of different things.
Sometimes I forget I did all that, and sometimes I wish I wasn't still doing all of it at once.
Yeah, I've had my bio written by others in the past, and somebody's asked me about it. I'm like, wow, somebody put that in there. That's interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So you've been in the IT field for 20-something years in the Microsoft world, and just tell us a little bit about kind of your background.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I did not come to IT from a traditional pathway, which the more and more I talk to folks, is not all that uncommon. I actually had a degree in socialized education, and
Wow. Okay.
it's kicked around in that for a few years. And this was right around when the internet was kind of exploding. This is 1995, and I decided let me try and parlay those skills as an educator, communicator into something in tech, because I started to really get excited with a burgeoning internet world. I got a job a few years later with a company out of Long Island, New York, that sold math science technology labs to school districts. So there was a connection there, right?
Nice.
I had experience in school districts, and they needed someone who was a tech specialist as well as a trainer for the instructors who would have to take over these labs once we left. And I learned a tremendous amount doing that job. It's really where I got my feet wet. I learned how to build cabling, how to set up PCs, connect equipment in, probably things that have nothing to do with IT as well. When I left that position, because they wanted me to get into sales, and I was like, I don't know if I'm really fit for that. I ended up going back and kind of investing myself in getting my Microsoft certifications, A+, Net+, MCSE. Got hired with a New Horizons training company in upstate New York, where I'm based, and became their IT manager as well as their lead technical instructor. That organization took a big risk on me. I'd only been doing this for a very few years. And I spent the next 9 years really, really becoming very conversant in Microsoft server and network technologies, as well as IT in general, not only having to manage our own environment, as well as training on these materials 5 days a week,
Wow.
4 weeks out of a month. I left that organization after about 9 years, went into IT healthcare with a hospital system in here in the Syracuse area, which was more enterprise. Really got exposed to large environments. We had a person for every single thing in IT. Mine was I was the Microsoft guy. My director always told me, well, why don't you know that? You're the Microsoft guy. And I was really focused on the core networking technologies, Active Directory, Exchange, server, my Windows Server. And we got acquired by a larger hospital system. And I saw the writing on the wall that, my job was going to be absorbed by corporate IT. And I really wanted to get back into that learning mindset and staying on top of the newest technology. And I felt being at that position, I was becoming very much a expert in a few things. And at the same time, cloud was becoming extremely popular. And so I took a position with the company I'm at today, ProArch, where I started as a senior strategic consultant. working with customers on cloud migrations and a lot of still legacy traditional on-prem stuff. And over time, I took a manager position for a while and led a group of about 40 engineers. And just in the last couple of years, I've really taken a role within the organization of both helping us strategically, but also our clients, being very strategically engaged with our customers around how do they take all these investments that they have in technology and extract as much value as possible. At the same time, making sure that their maturity level continue to improve around these technologies so they can remain competitive in whatever industry they were in. And then, just recently, with the advent of AI, or at least the current version of the advent of AI, right?
Yeah.
I took to that really quickly and became the expert in the room for our organization as far as our generative AI journey, and also developing solutions for our customers to get them up off the ground and figure out where these tools are going to fit into their portfolio of technology, and really how do they become a business enabler. And that's what I've been spending the last couple of years of my career doing, and it's been extremely exciting, to the point of exhausting, trying to keep
Oh
up
yeah. Yeah.
with
It's
all
like
that
whack-a-mole.
that's going on. Yeah,
Hmm.
and also learning a lot about what makes businesses tick,
Uh-huh.
because this technology means so much to so many in so many different ways, and seeing how companies have approached incorporating it into their business has really opened my eyes to why certain businesses succeed while others struggle to kind of figure out their footing as the pace of change is just accelerating across the world. So
Yeah. That's what a career. That's awesome. Uh, so you're no longer the Microsoft guy.
well,
You're the AI
yeah.
guy now.
Yeah. It's for the most part, for us being such a strong Microsoft partner, that translates into Copilot, but
Yeah.
not just Copilot. We definitely are into other types of generative AI solutions as well.
Nice. Yeah. I was the Java guy. Now I'm the AI
Yeah,
guy. So I understand.
there you go. There
I
you
feel your
go.
pain. It is difficult to just, and maybe we can take a little aside, just talking about it's so difficult to keep pace with everything that's going on. And if I feel like it's really funny, you try to establish yourself as like expert level on AI, and in many aspects, I'm sure you and I both are, but
Right.
you get, everybody will ask you a question. Oh, you heard about this? No. And you feel like, am I
Am I
missing something?
supposed to?
Yeah. Am I
Yeah,
supposed to know
exactly.
that? Cause there's like a gazillion things going on. You just can't know everything. So I
Yep.
guess that's kind of like why don't you know that? You're the Microsoft guy. Same
Yep.
sort of thing.
Yep.
So your job is talking to clients and customers about AI and bringing that into their organization and leveraging that to kind of optimize business workflows and such things. How's that going for you? How's your experience been with that?
Initially, it was pretty slow.
Hmm.
We've always had a digital engineering division at ProArch, which has been using AI, prior to the whole generative AI wave that's occurred, and built into systems that we developed for them, whether it's with machine learning or other types of things. But this democratization of Gen AI, where it's down at the user level, or
Hmm.
your mom is using it, or in my case, my sister-in-law is an elementary school teacher. It has been different for different organizations. Some who have always had a very innovative mindset jumped right at it and went out of the gate. And some cases, the misstarts, right? They spend a lot of money and then get a lot of returns, and they realize they weren't approaching it just the right way. And there's still probably even more so, and I would say the vast majority of companies that are still experimenting and trying to understand where this stuff is going to fit within their business. And that has been a large part of what we're trying to do with those customers, is to educate them about the possibilities.
Hmm.
To use the Microsoft marketing term, the art of the
Yeah,
possible,
the art
right?
of the possible. Yeah, I've heard that a
And
lot.
yeah. And I think, from my perspective, I'd say the last 6 months, the light bulbs are starting to go off.
Yeah,
for
I
companies.
agree.
And they're finally saying, okay, I think we've got a use case here where I think people have been exposed enough through shadow AI, possibly, to this technology that they're demanding it, and they also have a certain level of literacy to be able to use it in a way that's responsible as well. And that's kind of where we are in that journey, where we're just starting to see companies coming to us and engaging and saying, I'm ready. Let's go. We're going to buy 100 licenses. We're going to buy 200 licenses. We're going to, you know, use your program to help us do this correctly. Look at what the, the problems that we're trying to solve with this technology, and how we transform the culture of our organization to understand that this is here and it's not going away.
Yeah, I agree. I think that 6 months timeline sounds exactly right, as my observation and my experience as well. Of like, before, it was kind of like these organizations were, they're playing around with AI tools, and they'll install Copilot and
Mhm.
and tinker, and they'll do little toy projects, and they were throwing a lot of money at it.
Oh
Understandably,
yeah.
people need to learn, right? I mean, it does cost some investment to learn, but I think people are starting to settle down, and they're going back to kind of this first principle thinking of like, at least this is what we're advising people. I'm sure you guys are too, but like, let's start with a business problem, right? Like, what are we
Hmm.
trying to solve for? Whose life are we trying to change here? And then, does this add value to the organization? And then, I think I was in a conference last week, and the guy said that AI should be like basically in the third sentence, not the first anymore. And it
Oh,
seems to be like,
100%.
what's the business problem? What value does it bring to the organization? And how can we leverage AI to solve this problem? Like,
Or
yeah,
any other tool for
or
that
any
matter.
other, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Any other tool in our tool belt, because AI doesn't, we don't want to be in, uh, what is it? A hammer looking for a nail all the time, or a nail
Yeah.
looking which way
Right.
ever. Yeah,
Yeah.
the other way around.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I do think it's settled down. People are they're being a little more pragmatic about it, and they're starting to
Hmm.
approach these things better.
Yep.
What about your observation? It felt like that. I know you're in a consulting organization as well, services organization. A lot of clients were kind of just installing products. So we're a
Yep.
custom software development shop. So our
Hmm.
experience has been that people have been somewhat hesitant to delve into, well, I can't develop AI application. We're not that sophisticated. That's like black magic voodoo stuff. Like it was,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we'll buy Microsoft Copilot. We'll consume products that are already built like that. But I don't know about building things. That sounds crazy.
That's where, we've done a great job of having those initial conversations, because folks will come to us and say, we want 25 lessons from Copilot. And I'm kind of, I hate to say this, the term, I'm kind of the gateway drug, right? I help them from a workforce productivity standpoint, but we're not making huge margins on those engagements, because ultimately what we want to do is get them past that and move quickly to the maturity level of, well, wait a minute, how do we really tackle big business problems with
Uh,
this stuff, and actually, drive, high end efficiency? How do we ingrain it into the services and products that we're creating? And so we have a whole division, a team that does that. I'll be honest, sometimes some folks are like, we don't care about the end user productivity stuff. We just have a big use case. We want to, we sell this product or this service or this software. How do we bake that into our solution?
uh,
Or how do we solve for X, right? So if it's a manufacturing customer, we know we can reduce the amount of waste that our manufacturing lines is generating by using machine learning and AI, because we know our competitors are doing it. How do you help us to do that? And they just go, yeah, we don't care about anybody else, right? And the company, and
yeah.
and that's not necessarily the wrong approach, but it's the same time, if you're trying to transform your business with these tools, you can't silo the technology into a single problem or single business as well, right? It
Uh,
has to be something that's broad based. But the way you approach that and the timelines, those things are negotiable and can be adjusted. But if at the end of this journey you have one process in your business that's completely automated with AI, but the rest of the company can't even spell it, right? That's probably not the best outcomes.
right.
So we take it from both sides, right? We take it from the kind of the beginning stages of workforce productivity all the way up to fully integrated systems that are, leveraging AI that can solve big problems.
Yeah, I think the consumer-facing folks, people building software products for consumers, they don't have a choice. The demand is
No,
there.
absolutely.
If
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not, if you don't have AI enabled or whatever, or some sort of flavor of the word copilot in your in your architecture, um, you're in trouble right now. So I
Yep.
think they're forced to. The enterprise folks, leveraging it internally and those sort of things, and building things for their people and their workflows. That's where it starts to. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been a little more hesitant, I
I
think.
mean, we're doing this even with our own platform, internal platforms that
Mm-hmm.
we're building for our customers. Where we have the benefit of being a digital engineering organization, but our objective at this point is everything has AI baked in from the beginning. Right? It's
Yep.
not an afterthought. And there's definitely an advantage for startups because they can start fresh versus having to
Mm-hmm.
crowbar this technology into existing solutions, which feels clunky and it's tough. It's kind of that concept of the development of the internet. When in the developed nations, we went through all of the stages from dial-up all the way to fiber,
Mm-hmm.
where in reality, the developing countries could skip all those steps and go right to the best technology.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky them.
Yeah. Right.
They don't have to have that AOL bill for all those minutes and everything.
And that dial-up noise in the back of your
Yeah,
head that will always trigger you.
exactly. Now you mentioned something I thought was interesting. So the folks on the manufacturing floor, so they might want to use machine learning like for defect identification.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the big
Yep.
use cases is like, let's say you're making iPhones and to detect, is there a scratch on the screen or whatever. So you can use machine learning rather than having a person pick up every unit.
Yep.
Hey, that looks great. But that I find myself, it's like I have to bite my tongue. Like, this technology's been around for like,
Oh yeah. Right.
50 years or something, that you could have been doing this long before now. Like what,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm excited about, there's kind of been this renaissance of AI, right? So,
Yeah.
we've had a couple false starts with machine learning and artificial intelligence through the decades. But now that we've had a lot of data and all that, we're starting to, and I think the generative thing is it's just lighting a fire and it's sparking new interest. Like you said, your mother and grandfather are using it, yelling
Yeah.
at the AI.
Right.
So how have those conversations been for you, with those kind of clients?
So it's interesting because there were a lot of other things that we were trying to promote from a standpoint of this is what your business needs to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
that we just kept getting kind of side glances from companies. Like, I don't know about that. But, one of them is identity security.
Mm-hmm.
Another is data governance, and as well as things like machine learning. It wasn't until Gen AI came around that it made those things more important and relevant. And so for all these companies, we're having the hardest time of having those discussions or for them to take those things seriously. AI has forced them to start going, oh yeah, you know what? If our data is a mess,
Mm-hmm.
Gen AI is not going to work as well. So, when you're telling us 2 years ago that we should engage with you as a data governance project, hey, let's bring that back to the table. Let's have that discussion now. And we're
We
like,
need to do data governance here.
yeah,
I'm surprised you guys haven't told us about that before,
exactly. And we're trying to keep that data safe and make sure that we're not putting ourselves at undue risk because we're absolutely going to use this stuff, but we have no idea the risk it's introducing in the business. Well, isn't that wonderful? You should be using data loss prevention and information protection. All those things that we were telling you 3 years ago that you kind of went, this seems like hard and difficult to do. But now that this other technology is here, it's brought all those things back to the table. So again, like you said, machine learning has been around for a long time, but um, having AI around or generative AI really is a force multiplier
Mm.
in getting information out of that. And so now folks are saying, well, I can't do that without this other thing. All right, let's talk about that other thing. Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's interesting. So I know there's always kind of been this assertion in the market, and it's kind of been, I don't know, double-sided, two-headed dragon or something for me. But like the whole thing, like we got to have our data clean. Now, I would say if you're training models, absolutely, you need very clean, very consistent,
Yep.
labeled data, those sort of things. Yes, absolutely. But man, I tell you what, these LLMs, if you're using generative AI, it's
Mhm.
very squishy, right? I mean, it allows you to have data that's not great as far as cleanliness, and it doesn't really matter. What's been your experience with those conversations?
It's to an extent, right? So, and I've seen this more and more as we get folks who are using it internally who are still lacking good prompting skills.
Hmm.
Because I'll give you an example. If we leave a lot of old data laying around, that has information that's no longer relevant,
Mm,
it's going to surface that information, and
sure.
it doesn't really know what weight to put on it or priority. But if we were doing our good data governance or archiving that and it just left the answers we would get would be more accurate, with less well scripted prompts.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
right now we tell them you're going to get less hallucinations when you provide better context and are as specific as you want to be or as you can be with the output that you're expecting. And not everyone wants to do that, right? They
Uh-huh.
get an answer right away, and they get in a pattern where it's been right so many times, they just assume it's right every time, and
Uh,
so they're not looking at the information that they're getting as an output, and they're just sending it along or introducing into documentation or some sort of deliverable, and it's like, no, that's wrong. You didn't read it.
mhm.
You need to make sure this data is accurate because and you decrease the chances of it happening when you do are making sure that your data estate is well planned, well organized. Um, but to your point, it doesn't necessarily it can overcome some of those obstacles just by the nature of it being able to look at the data overall. But there is
Yeah.
risk there you need to think about.
So it's more about, you would say, I'm going to try to echo back what I
Yeah,
hear.
yeah.
So it sounds like it's more about the freshness or staleness of the data as opposed to like the format, like all the sentences have to be proper grammar and
Oh
all. Yeah,
yeah,
like
no, no, no.
it's
Yeah,
all
when it
about the
comes,
freshness and yeah.
yeah, yeah, it definitely could take very unstructured data and turn
Hmm.
it into. I use this notepad called a Remarkable,
Hmm.
right,
Yeah.
to take all of my notes now. And when I'm in a meeting where I can't record, and get audio transcript from Teams and then have facilitator take wonderful notes,
Uh-huh.
I could take those handwritten notes, turn into it a PDF, give the photo to Copilot, and it creates a outline of that meeting and with the notes better than I even recalled when I wrote them down myself. And so you're absolutely right. It still can discern meaning out of what sometimes can seem like just absolute noise.
Yeah. Maybe. So if I want to take your example and like maybe have that hit home, it would be if you were taking notes and you wrote down the sky is green 5 times and you wrote down the sky is blue once and you fed that note into an LLM and you said, well, what color is the sky? It's not going to say blue. It's going to say green because that's the largest signal that
Well,
it's
yeah,
hearing
yeah,
other than it
absolutely.
knows that the sky is, but you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
would be the idea. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you have a lot of garbage kind of hanging around, cluttering up your context, you
Right.
want it to, yeah.
And that's one of the risks, right? We look at what we are getting from our media today, and just the prevalence of chatbots in social media and on websites, that are just kind of amplifying noise.
Mm,
All AI, the risk there is AI may just re-amplify that as well. So again, it's about making sure that what it's being fed is good sources of information, true sources of information, and not just regurgitating the volumes of noise that we have out on the internet sometimes.
yeah. And I know like with Microsoft Copilot, you think about like intranets, people in
Hmm.
document repositories within companies. How many old documents are out there with just garbage from years and years ago that nobody wants to, who wants
Yeah,
to go through all the hassle of cleaning all that stuff up? You turn Copilot loose on it and you start asking questions like, what? That
yeah,
doesn't even make any sense.
and
We don't even have that business anymore.
and these companies know that, and they're trying to
Yeah.
make that cleanup easier. So I'll give you an
Uh-huh.
example. Microsoft just released, it's in preview right now, something called Knowledge Agent,
Uh-huh.
which is embedded in SharePoint and can actually help you go through your document libraries and some of your lists and stuff, and actually put some governance around it, but also tell you, hey, this stuff's old. You should probably get rid of it. Right? And it probably is not too long from now where it's going to say to you, hey, do you want to archive all this data? And you're going to review it and say, one button, go do it, and it's going to take care of it for you. So they understand that there needs to be additional assisting technology to clean this stuff up, and But the funny thing is, they're using AI to help AI, right? So,
I don't think this is relevant. Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
right. And we'll watch them battle each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait until like this technology gets to the point where I can just say, hey, Microsoft Copilot, go down to my back room in my basement and tell me all the things I need to just throw out that I haven't touched in 20, if it can it do that? And then that's changing
Right.
lives right there.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right. So I know we mentioned when we spoke earlier, kind of prepping for this episode, you mentioned something about kind of the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt aspect of kind of what you encounter with your clients. Talk about that a little bit. What is that still happening? Was that only in the past, or is it still a thing?
No, it is absolutely still a thing. We're especially our customers that are in regulated spaces
Mm,
where healthcare, or we actually do have a ton of customers that are power generation facilities, power
sure.
plants.
Oh yeah.
We manage about 150 power plants across the United States and Canada, and the comment is, I can't trust it. I've read these stories on the internet, and the things are just going to go completely off the rails. And the next question is, well, what are you doing to control the AI that's being used today? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, people are using it in your organization, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, we tell them to be careful, not do it. Unlike, do you have an AI usage policy? No. I said, well, wouldn't it be better to just put guardrails in place and accept the fact that this is a reality, and use a system that it respects your data and it respects your security parameters, and give your employees the appropriate guidance on what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, than to just pretend that there's no risk already,
Right.
right? You're worried about the risk that of the known, but you have no idea about the unknown risk that already exists. And we actually can help organizations with this. We have a security AI assessment, which will come through using Microsoft tools. Surprise, surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And that will actually look at all the third-party AI that's in use already, and what people are putting into it and how they're using it. And it's not meant to scare them, but just give them information to empower them, and go, I had no idea that our research and development team was using that tool. No wonder why we've gotten 10% more productivity, or product solutions out of that team in the last 6 months. But at the same time, they're also putting all this IP in that system, and we now it could end up in our competitors' hands. So the tail there is, yeah, it's working. Let's just make sure that you have control of it and get it out there and put it in place. And so, like I said earlier, there's a lot of education that still has to
Mm-hmm.
occur. It's probably going to still be the case a year from now. We're still going to have to be spending time educating our customers, and the general public as well. We like to do just a lot of outreach through social media and webinars and what have you, just to provide some base context to what's going on in the world, where are we headed, and how do you navigate it.
Yeah, I think, and if we go back to kind of like the first principles, and we've gone through this, anytime you want to standardize, you want to try to make doing the right thing the right way easy, right? And same thing like with
Yeah,
DevOps and all
correct.
this, any sort of standards you want to have, don't stick your head in the sand and just hope they'll do it right. Make it easy for them to do it the right way. Put like you said, the guardrails and the facilities in place to make it easy for them to do the right thing. Have you, and this one comes up sometimes. I've noticed this with some clients, especially in regulated industries. When you tell them about a problem, now they know about it. There's a legal problem for them. You know what I mean? Like if I
Yes,
know about it, I'm supposed to be
right,
doing my best effort. And I'm doing air quotes
right.
here for the
Yeah,
audience. I'm supposed to be doing my best effort at mitigating that issue. So if you tell me
yep,
about it, now I gotta go clean this up. Did you
yeah.
hear anybody like kind of giving you the Heisman, keeping you a hand, like arm's length because of that?
Not really. I think that those are the ones that just don't want to have the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, for the most part, most organizations want to keep themselves like, they just know that without a strong partner with expertise in this area, they're flying blind, and it's more risk not knowing than it is knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's if you're not paying attention to this stuff, it will come back to bite you. And then you look even more foolish. Like, wait a minute, you didn't have an AI usage policy. You weren't tracking and monitoring what people were using. You didn't have data loss prevention and weren't aware of where your information was going. And if the answer is no, that's worse than saying, yeah, we did, and we were making an effort to but it's something still happened, right?
Mhm.
At least that then you could say, well, we were doing our best, and just like everyone else, it's not if, it's when
Right.
something would happen, right? And also being able to how you can deal with that more quickly and resolve it and get back to an operational state.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's absolutely the tactic to take with companies like that. You make sure that they understand that knowing is better than not, and you
Oh,
just kind of
absolutely, yeah,
like,
for
oh, let's
sure.
just hope we don't get sued. All right. Well, our we need to transition to our next segment of the show. The next segment is what we call our ship it or skip it.
Ship or skip, everybody, we gotta tell us if you ship or skip.
So you mentioned you are a Microsoft partner. We've had pretty good results. You guys seem like you have too, but it takes a little time to build up a little momentum as a partner for these sort of things. Would you recommend it to smaller organizations such as, kind of like in our world? Is that a thing? Would you say absolutely go for it, or is that kind of like, yeah, you either have to go all in? Like, what would be your guidance on that? Is that a ship it or skip it?
That's definitely a ship it. And
Mhm.
again, I am extremely biased on this because in the last 25 years, 18 of those years has been with companies as a Microsoft partner. And the ecosystem that Microsoft builds with their partner community is can be matched in the world, in my opinion. I just came
Mhm.
back from a selling conference in Dallas with Microsoft partners and sellers, and the ability to unlock opportunity between the partner community and the Microsoft community is just tremendous if you take advantage of that and lean into it and co-sell with those organizations and um, have them help you learn about what's coming next, so you can stay on top of those things to make sure that you're offering or including certain technologies in your own practice. Going blind and trying to do that on your own without that type of relationship is very tough, especially if you're going to be um, using Microsoft technologies or implementing Microsoft technologies as part of a product or solution. So
Mhm.
ship 100%.
Got it. Yeah, I think for us, it's been a good experience being a Microsoft partner. I would say overall, it does get to, I don't know, especially with like some of the bigger cloud providers. There's only one bigger one, or maybe two, I guess. But
Yeah.
it feels like as a smaller organization, we're not a real big organization. We're at like 100 people,
Mhm.
a little over 100 now. It can feel like you're not going to get enough attention from them. You're not a big enough, fish for them. So that can be rough at times. But when you lean in and you build relationships with the folks, they're very supportive, and they've done a great job of that. So. Okay, so one of the things that comes up with AI in particular, and it'd be interesting to hear your take on this, like using AI for creative works, art and those sort of things. What's your take on that?
I would say ship it with an asterisk.
We get a lot of that.
uh, if you're trying to use it to run your business, you should be using quality tools that have quality, but you should have someone who's operating it that has expertise, right? It's
Mm,
kind of like if you're trying to navigate a shipping container ship, right? You're not going to just put someone who does yachts, right? Who can sail yachts, right?
it's a good
Um,
analogy. I like that.
and the more experience you have in that area or domain, the better off. So you're not going to put someone who's not a marketing person or doesn't have some sort of design philosophy concepts behind that if they're creating marketing material for you. Right? You're not going to turn the intern, summer intern who is working on the imaging laptops into your marketing director and using AI. You want people. So as long as there's qualified people doing it, I'd say yes, ship it. And if it's for personal use, who cares? To
Yeah,
have
yeah,
fun,
yeah.
explore.
Enjoy it. It can help you, do creative things faster and
Yeah,
maybe things you couldn't do before.
just be willing to hear the criticisms of people when they tell you that's AI garbage, isn't it? And you're like, well, yeah, maybe.
No, what are you talking about? I always put M dashes in my writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the marketing intern. Those folks are they're having a rough patch. In the last couple of years, there've been a lot of like, oh, that was the marketing intern, and they have now been, sacked or whatever.
Yep.
They've had a rough go. And Wendy's is, on social media will lean in those situations about their interns. So they're pretty funny. Yeah, I'm with you on the ship it for creative, and I mean I consider software development to be a creative endeavor myself, just because it's self-serving and I like to feel like I'm an artist. But that theme keeps coming up time and time again of like don't let the yacht captain do your container ship, right? Like, those sort of things.
Right.
Like there still needs to be a level of expertise. I mean, AI is just, as you said, it's amplifying things. It's allowing you to do dumb things faster. Like you still have to be careful. You have to have people who know what they're doing to guide it.
Yep.
And you've talked about it, and I think the answer is probably pretty clear, but like maybe you do have a hot take on this. Like these co-pilots, number one, like I'm a little like, what is the Copilot product? Like, there's GitHub Copilot, there's Microsoft Copilot, and everybody is kind of using this. I don't think anybody like
not one thing,
trademarked it. Everybody's calling everything a Copilot. I like the sense of calling these things Copilots, because that kind of implies I'm still the pilot. I'm still in charge.
Yep.
You're helping me. You're a partner in this, and you help me. I'm not turning everything over to you. So I like that concept. But like, what about implementing this within your business and your organization? I would assume you're a ship it, or maybe you're not.
I definitely ship it. Yeah. So I mean, there's kind of three stages. There's AI co-pilots, and again, whether you're talking about Microsoft or any other company that's using that term, there's co-pilots in the assistance of just general work, just improving the general work. But then there's kind of the human-led, agent-assisted type of work, which I think has a lot of value, but we just don't push that out there without explaining what exactly it is and how to do it correctly. And then the last stage there is really agent-led, but human advisor or human oversight. As long as you follow those principles and don't kind of have this concept of we're going to turn all of our business over to AI and just take vacations, 3 weeks out of the month. There's absolutely benefit here. But one critical thing that I think a lot of organizations are missing, and we're trying to emphasize as much as possible, is you have to have someone who is the owner of this and who is driving adoption within your organization. It can't be just we're going to roll out some tools and we're going to use them in specific areas, because what will happen is you'll get a good uptick, and then people will just kind of get tired of it and kind of stop using it. We actually offer virtual AI, chief AI services officer, right? Because what we've realized is if there's someone in there actually driving the adoption, validating the value and return on investment, and creating a structured pathway and roadmap for the future, you're much more likely to be successful in this. And I've actually said this to a couple of Microsoft reps that I was pitching this to this week. Our goal is to get out of there within a year. In fact, if we're still there, we failed. Right. Because we have not emphasized enough to that organization is you need someone within your own organization who knows you best, that this is their primary responsibility. And our goal is to work ourselves out of a job. So,
yeah, I think when you're rolling out these co-pilots and stuff, it's funny, folks they'll latch on to kind of like that first use case that you give to them, right? And you make things better for them. But users they're funny and they're fickle, and they can get very used to, processes that are, it's that frog soup thing, right? Like they get so used to doing like this long, laborious process. They think that, well, this is just normal. This is fine. So having someone that can kind of provide that creative spark of like, well, hold on a second. Why are you, doing all of this in this swivel chair, integration kind of thing? Like, maybe we can leverage AI for this. Let's sit and think about that, right? Those sort of conversations. Again, that art of the possible sort of a conversation. I think that's very important as well.
Yeah, I think employees sometimes think their value is doing those tasks, and what we're trying to do is, I call them the 3Ds because it was robotics at one point, but the dull, the distracting, and dull, distracting, and draining work, right? Because really we hire you to think and work with humans. So wherever we can get rid of all that other stuff, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah, it's been hard. I mean, we're kind of in a knowledge worker economy, and like it's been hard for us to shake that industrial revolution of like we were cranking out people that they thought
Yep.
me swinging this hammer 1,000 times a day. This is the value I provide to this organization, but it's
Right.
not now. You're a human being with a big brain up here.
Big
That's
frontal
why,
cortex.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that's why we like having you around. All right, that's been great. Okay, so now I don't know if you're a longtime listener of the show or not, but we have this thing we do kind of towards the tail end here that we call the lightning round.
It's time for the lightning round. Rapid fire, don't slow down. Answer quick and make it count. In this game, there's no way out. It's time for the lightning round.
If you have listened to the show, you know how important this is. This is the make it or break it time
Oh,
for you.
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm sure this is what you've been nervous about. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is serious.
Okay. I'm not going to put away the smile, the laughs. Let's go for it.
Right. This is the stuff that really counts. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like this is like so far we've gone through middle school, right? And no college is gonna be like, you know what, you had a bad grade on that, math test in 6th grade. I don't think we're gonna admit you. But this is the stuff that counts. So
All right.
very serious, correct answers, but there are correct answers to these things. So and we will score you.
All right. No pressure.
Yeah.
I actually work better when I have a score. It makes me step up my game. So let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't. Again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is pressure. It's a lot of pressure, and I want to emphasize that to make sure that this gets its due respect.
Okay.
So, what's your favorite car?
My favorite car. I'm probably going to get this one wrong right out of the gate. I'm not really a car person. I find cars to be a necessary tool.
Uh-huh.
I would say as I get closer to retirement, my goal is to live in a community where I can walk as much as I can, and I use a car as little as I can. But I'm also a James Bond fan. So if I had to say pick a car, it would have to be an Aston Martin DB5. So
Okay, we would have also accepted a Veyron. Those are the two. You had actually
Okay.
the one correct answer other than the Veyron. Those are the two. So you got it. That's
not
good.
so good so far, but here we go.
You're doing fine. I mean, on average.
Yes, got it.
Name a word that starts with the letter Q.
Qbert.
Ooh, nice. All right. Now you're going old school. I appreciate the 80s reference. I played a gazillion hours of Qbert myself. Are you a dark chocolate or a milk chocolate kind of guy?
Dark all the way. The darker the better. 90% cacao. Yeah, let's do it.
It's hard to find that in your normal grocery store. You got to go to a specialty joint.
Aldi sells, I think, an 85% bar. That's acceptable. It's acceptable.
Yeah, that's passable. Yeah, I agree. How would you rate your karaoke skills on a scale of 1 to Mariah Carey?
In my own mind, yeah, it's right up there. Although I'm not a big fan of Mariah Carey, so, but if I had to be compared to Mariah Carey, in my own mind, could probably be her understudy in Vegas.
Okay, I like that. Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, or Zelda?
I like a good story, so it's got to be Zelda. It's got to have a. I mean, I know Mario Brothers, but is it really that good? I think Zelda's kind of outshines it in the story and the journey and the quest.
That's a good answer. Like Mario Brothers, it's like, oh, the guy stole Peach again. Let me go find her.
Right.
Like it's
one of those things. Isn't there a permanent solution to this problem?
Yeah, like, hey, let's not hang out where Bowser hangs out. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah. Are you an ask permission or beg forgiveness kind of guy?
I used to be an ask for permission, but as I progressed in my career, I've definitely leaned more towards beg for forgiveness. Because a lot of times organizations are just getting by and trying to get things done, and they don't have the bandwidth to approve or sanction every single activity. And I've gotten to the point where I'm confident in my abilities, where I don't think I'm going to break things too bad if I just go ahead and do this. And then if it turns out right, you know what? We got something done quickly.
I like it. If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to? It has to be back, not forward.
Right. So, being a former social studies teacher, I think I was always intrigued by the revolutionary period, and to find out what was really going on. What was it? Was it were the revolutionaries the actual good guys? Were we all the good guys?
Uh-huh.
What was the purpose of how we founded the United States, as pure as we say it was, or was there some other sinister stuff going on there? I'd like to get into the back alleys and conversations and find out, what was really transpiring that we wanted to kick the British out. So
I love the cynical nature of that. I had a great history. I think I heard this from my history teacher. I attribute to him in my brain, but he said, history is not written by those who are right. History is written by those who are left.
Right. Or the
those
winners.
who remain,
Yeah.
who win.
Yep.
The remainder. So yeah, that's an interesting, all right. Yeah. I guess I never really thought of it. I just took the story hook, line, and sinker. So now I got a new conspiracy theory to kind of go down that rabbit hole.
I think a lot of these interesting, mockumentaries or these historical fiction kind of shows have got you thinking in that regard, right? Like, what was, or even Alexander Hamilton, the play, really kind of exposed some threads there that you didn't know necessarily.
Right. What's your favorite day of the week?
This is very controversial in my mind, and I've actually thought about it. I hate that people dump on Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
I hate
feel
that.
Bad for the underdog.
This is a Friday. We're recording on a Friday. I hate that Friday gets all the love. I feel like Saturday and Sunday they don't really do anything. They just show up. So it's those middle days that I really think don't get enough love. And a good Tuesday cannot replace anything. It just happens to be between a Monday and a Wednesday where everybody's angry and hating, and Wednesday we're like, oh, we're over the hump.
Yeah.
So I like to show love. I'm a Mets fan, so I like to show love to the underdogs, and I think Tuesday and Thursday are underloved.
I love that. Yeah, because you're right. Like Wednesday, it's got the whole hump day. They got the camel talking and all that. Like, yeah, I like it. Okay, we are it's Friday, October 24th. As you said, we are 1 week away from Halloween. So I'm going to ask this question. What was your last Halloween costume?
I listened to the previous podcast, and I was actually thinking about this, and I don't recall. I used to get dressed up for Halloween every single year, right up till about a couple of years ago when my kids left the house. And my wife and I lean heavily into great costumes. We've won costume competitions. I think the last one that I got dressed up for, I had a yellow rain suit in my garage, and I now have a graying beard. And I'm like, how can I? Because I like simple yet easily recognizable characters. So I decided to be the Gordon's Fisherman.
I knew you were going there. I love it. All right, I love it.
So I grayed my hair a little bit more, filled more gray into my beard, threw on the yellow rain suit, bought the hat, and people were like, "Oh, you're the Gordon's Fisherman." Like,
yeah, I was going to ask. People knew it like right off the bat, right?
Yep.
That's a good one. That's fantastic. I love it. All right. Okay. You did okay. Yeah, we'll have to compile everything. Of
I'll
course.
Take that.
We'll have to. We'll have to go through all the scoring algorithm and everything. We do use it is the modern world, so we do use a large language model that we've trained because it's a natural language.
It's a good thing I've been polluting the internet with all of my information to throw it off and make it biased. So
it's funny. I watched the new Superman movie last night, and there was this. Have you seen it yet?
My son, who's a real big superhero, he said it was fantastic.
I thought it was pretty good. Everybody kind of hated on it. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. There was a scene where Luthor was he's trying to give Superman a bad rap, right? And he shows this setup where he's got all these millions and millions of monkeys on keyboards, just hating on Superman on the internet. So yeah, that's what I was imagining when you just said that.
Yeah. Now we have bot armies, right?
Yes, exactly. All right. So any, we're done with the lightning round. Any sort of, what's the vision for the future? What are we looking at from all the stuff we kind of talked about today? Where are you seeing all of this AI thing going? What's the future look like for us?
Yeah, I really just think that we're right in the middle of probably one of the most incredible times in human history, transformative times.
Mhm.
Uh, as far as being able to predict, what's going to happen or what's next, it's hard. Everybody's talking about an AI bubble, and I think at some point there has to be some air let out of the balloon. I
Mhm.
hope it's not all the air at once. Um, but from a future vision standpoint, there's no going back from this. And we as a society and as a world need to start recognizing and training people to be able to exist with this technology side by side.
Mhm.
So, we have to fundamentally look at our education system, stop being so resistant to introducing this stuff into that environment, but also train people to have the right skills to work with this technology, whether it's analytical skill, the thinking, whether it's, prompting, you name it, right? We have to create a new model of what it means to live in the 21st century and beyond. And uh, some people are going to lean into it, and some won't. And where that leads to, not quite sure just yet. I hope we have a lot of ethical, responsible people at the top of these organizations.
Sure
Some
they
days
do.
I doubt that are going to hopefully, make sure that they're not going to destroy humanity in the
Mm.
process. So
Yeah, like as you were saying that, it's like, are we absolutely, it's transformative. Are we at a point where, right now we're kind of clinging to this notion of like, well, you still kind of got to learn all the basics and know, because you got to
mhm,
be able to guide this AI thing. But like, and I thought of like the one example I could think of off the top of my head, and like in the Navy, like for a long time they weren't teaching navigation by the stars, right? And then
right,
they got into a situation where they're like, hey, what happens if an EMP is dropped on our big boat? How are we
yeah.
going to find our way? So they have to like kind of retrain this stuff. Do you think we'll get into an era where we let go of this? You have to know the fundamental, like all the like solid principles, software engineering, and all those sort of things. Are we going to do those things just die off? Are they no longer, or do you think we'll always need those core concepts?
I think at a certain level, we're going to need those. Like you take, for example, and I worked in healthcare too. I would walk into one of our patient rooms, and I was just astounded by how much technology that was in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that we had three different engineering groups that were essentially responsible for that one room, clinical engineering and IT but at the end of the day, they still had to have manual processes, and they
Mm-hmm.
had to run drills that if this technology stops working, what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
How do we still continue to care for the patient? And how do we make sure that, because the doctor hasn't done a real surgery with their own hands, right? And only have used a robot, what would that look like? Um, I got to believe that we're going to have to keep those rudimentary, but it'll be gradual, right? So some of those things will definitely probably never do again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
Yeah.
some of those things that we'll have to keep around. And again, it's a risk thing. We have to look at what the risk is. You got to make sure these systems remain resilient, whether or not there is technology leading it or not, right? So
Yeah, I watched like The Walking Dead, and I was thinking about what you were talking about. Like, think if a zombie apocalypse happened, I don't know that I'd be very good, right? Like, I don't know how
I
to
know I
make a
wouldn't.
windmill. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
don't know how
yeah,
to
yeah.
shoe a horse. I don't know how to do all this stuff. So yeah, but we still have to kind of at least have that there in case we need it. I can grow food. I know how to do that. But like, yeah, there's a lot of
Same.
things that they had to do in The Walking Dead. I'm like, yeah, I'd be screwed. Yeah.
That's one of those things too. I think the necessity drives the ability, right?
Mm,
Sometimes. So
true.
when you get to that point, people learn new skills pretty quick. It's a matter of life and death. So,
Yeah, zombies gonna be chomping on me. I'll figure out how to shoe a horse.
right,
I've seen
and get
enough
good at it,
videos.
and get good at it real quick.
Yeah, exactly. What about any takeaways? Any actionable insights or strategies that you'd share with folks based on your learnings and kind of the stuff we were talking about?
Yeah, just from a business perspective, if you're in that position where you're at being asked to adopt AI as a technology, or getting pressure from your C-suite or the board or whatever, um, don't feel like you have to do it alone, right? Lean on experts,
Mm,
but also come up with a logical way to bring this stuff into your organization. don't be afraid to go slow. Take your time, get it right, because the risk of getting it wrong is much greater than not doing anything at all at this point. And it's also important that you start hiring people who are passionate about this and who have these skill sets on their resume. And I've actually talked to our CEO this week, and I said to him, we need to start thinking about making sure that every candidate is AI literate, and that they've already used it and understand how to use it, because there's a cost sink there if we have to do that all ourselves. And
Sure.
at the same time, we're doing our AI and onboarding and making sure that people are trained in our ways of doing things. But and then lastly, if you don't have an AI usage policy, get one tomorrow, right? Whether you're doing anything with AI or not, make sure you have a policy that clearly states to your users what is and was not acceptable. If it says never use AI and that's it in the policy, well, we at least stated it.
At least
and people right. Exactly.
Yeah. And I would say that the AI tools are very good at writing those policies too. They've been asked enough times now. They got it
without a doubt. Yeah.
Oh, use as much as you want. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Be written by ChatGPT. Always use ChatGPT if you have a question.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that I would say to folks, based in the same vein with what you're talking about, is like a lot of this stuff can feel daunting, and we live in this like Pinterest and Instagram world or whatever, right? And I'm old, so Facebook, right? But the perception of like what everybody else is doing is a little skewed. So when you think
yeah, 100%.
I don't know anything, I'm so far behind, you're probably not. I mean, most of what people convey to others in this modern world, this Pinterest world, is kind of a facade of what, and it's through rose-colored glasses. They're not telling you that the stuff they're down in the trenches, they've had a breach, blah, 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 whatever, right?
Yep.
You're fine. Don't let that FOMO set in, and it's not daunting.
Yeah, they're only putting their best face forward, and they're not telling you all the dark secrets and mistakes they've made. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, people are in advanced states of AI usage, but a lot of folks they're just figuring it out too. So don't feel like you got to go hire the PhDs in order to
don't bankrupt the company over this.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Anything coming up you've got, like conferences or books or anything you got coming up that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, sure. Two things. I'm actually starting in upstate New York, which is central New York, western New York. So Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo, Copilot AI user group. That we have an event on November 20th that is virtual. The initial one is going to be virtual at 6 p.m. I have more information on my LinkedIn page, Jim Spignardo. I'm the only Jim Spignardo in the world that I know about. Check that out. And if you're in the upstate New York area, or even if you're not, join. And we love having community. We really want to help people navigate this, both from a business perspective and a personal perspective. So I've taken that on as a new initiative for myself. As well, I'm going to be doing a LinkedIn Live presentation with Team Copilot. Team Copilot is a group that is established out of the Netherlands, but they kind of have gone global. And they're doing a 24 days of Copilot in December, kind of like an advent calendar.
Oh, nice.
And so I submitted one of my sessions and I got approved. So on the 5th of December at 9 a.m., I'll be doing LinkedIn Live about how to build a no-code gift finding agent, whether it's for coworkers, family members or friends, going through an exercise of showing you how to build no-code agents, but in the context of creating a gift finder. So
can I feed it my gifts I've given in the past? Because
my
wife was
yes.
like,
I
gave her these earrings. I was like, do you like them? She's like, yeah, I really do. I loved them when you gave them to me 2 years ago too. The same exact pair. Like, oh, of course I knew that.
All right. Well, I thought if you ever lose them, you have a backup pair now.
Now you got backup. Yeah. Redundancy.
Resiliency.
Yes. We got to have that. Well, this has been great, Jim. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you coming on the show with us today.
No problem. Thank you. It was a blast.
All right. Well, if you'd like to get in touch with us here at the /, drop us a line at the /@calibrity.com. See you next time. The /podcast is created by Calibrity, Our director is Dylan Kortz, producer Ryan Wilson, with editing by Steve Baradelli. Marketing support comes from Taylor Blessing. I'm your host, James Carmen. Thanks for listening.